And a very good evening. I know you enjoyed Spellbound last week because so many of you told me when I was in the supermarket, up at Lura in the Blue Mountains, up at Katoomba, when I was in the city. It was just wonderful. Most people say it's one of his best pictures. I agree with them. Tonight's film, of course, is a film of John Buchan's The 39 Steps. This is the Penguin edition, which I made sure we had when I presented it for you last year on Network 10. I'll get around to the 39 Steps in just a moment. Last week, I told you about the Alfred Hitchcock Special Interest Group and their newsletter called The MacGuffin. Now, there is a small fee. The newsletter is fascinating. You can contribute to it if you wish, and this is how you make inquiries about the newsletter and the fees, etc., etc. The MacGuffin, care of Ken Mogg, 177 Simpson Street, East Melbourne, Victoria, 3002. Now, I shall have that address put up on the screen by my director, Tony, at the end of the 39 Steps tonight. So will you please get the pen, pencil, and or paper, or whatever you want to get, so you can write down the particulars, because I have other things to tell you. Alfred Hitchcock once said, or probably said many times, drama is lifed with the dull bits cut out. And in fact, that's exactly what he did when he made a film, a very fanciful adaptation with Charles Bennett of John Buchan's novel. He cut out all the in-between bits, so we go from one crisis situation to another. Now, let me say this to you, that he deliberately aimed for a brisk, disjointed effort in the continuity, hopping from one high point to another. And it works well. The film has great pace, some of it's very witty, and the leading players are just about perfect. A typical Hitchcock blonde in Madeleine Carroll, absolutely lovely, and Robert Donat, one of the most sought-after actors who, because of illness and theatrical commitments, was not able to do a lot of the roles for which he was asked. I'll tell you more about that later. Watch out for this actress in the early part of the film. Her name is Lucy Mannheim. I think you'll find her rather interesting, also the character that she plays. Look out also for Wiley Watson on stage in the film. A very interesting part indeed. And let's go to this shot with Robert Donat, John Laurie. Did you see him in The Brothers recently on television? What a great movie that is. And the late Dame Peggy Ashcroft in one of her rare film appearances. And the little story that we find focused on these people is indeed fascinating and has, like so much of Hitchcock's work, undercurrents. Enjoy the 39 Steps. What an amazing film. I love it very much, don't you? And as I quoted last week, Hitchcock said, my film should be seen at least 3 times to get all the little subtleties and details. I'd double that and say 6. And yet when you get to the 9th or 10th time and you know the basics of the film so well, you find so many hidden treasures and suggestions. The books I recommended last week to you on the subject of Hitchcock are well worth having a look at, believe me. I think his work is just magnificent, don't you? Who are your favourite directors? I've been thinking about that lately, particularly with the Billy Wilder series that's been on television. I thought that was excellent, and I'm rediscovering him at the moment as well. Now, I said I'd put it on the screen again about the MacGuffin, the Alfred Hitchcock Special Interest Group. Now, if you'd like to learn more about the MacGuffin, which is a fascinating newsletter to which you can contribute if you so desire, write to this address, the MacGuffin, care of Ken Mogg, who's the editor of it, 177 Simpson Street, East Melbourne, Victoria, 3002. Now, he'll send you, I'm sure, all the details. If you've got a fax number, put your fax number in. He might prefer to send you a fax. There are book reviews, a fascinating article on Rebecca in a recent issue, things that I'm sure you'd find will double and enhance generally your appreciation of Alfred Hitchcock's pictures. Now, I do have a couple of other recommendations to make to you tonight. I've received a lot of letters from people asking about recordings with Jeanette MacDonald, of all people. Yes, I say of all people, I love Jeanette very much. I've always liked her. She'd be my #1 movie star. And I found these 2 discs recently in Ava and Susan's Records in Sydney. I'm putting their phone number on the screen so you can know how to get in touch with them. Now, there's no point ringing anybody else because they know that I've talked about them and will be able to tell you whether they're available, whether they've got them in stock, and whether they can get them for you. And that's not all. I have now another one which is very exciting. Some film music by Arthur Bliss. Just look at some of the titles, including 7 Waves Away, Men of Two Worlds, and Christopher Columbus with Frederick March. That's a very exciting disc. And incidentally, I discovered there recently a CD of about 70 minutes music from Rebecca. So you never know what you're going to find when you go in there. Now, getting on to the subject of books. Are you interested in film music? I am. It's one of my major items, and recently I was welcomed at the John Wycliffe Christian School at Warramoo in the Blue Mountains, where I gave a talk on music in films. This book by Christopher Palmer, the composer in Hollywood, with a shot from the magnificent Ambersons on the cover, was very expensive in hardcover, but has come out in paperback. So if you inquire about this of our friend Maria at Angus & Robertson's in Sydney, make sure you mention you want the paperback or the hardcover. You pay twice as much for the hardcover, but you must get in touch with Maria. Now, here's another one. She will know about these books. She'll know whether she can get it or not by the time you ring. Film Score, the art and craft of movie music, the careers and views of 25 eminent composers by Tony Thomas. I trust him. He's one of the few worthwhile writers on films who can bridge the gap between those who are students and those who just want entertaining reading to enhance their enjoyment. That's a good book, that one. Film Score, the art and craft of movie music, or is it? Yes, movie music. Time to go. Next week, our Hitchcock, of course, will be The Trouble with Harry, which features music by Bernard Herrmann, the very first time he wrote music for Alfred Hitchcock. The Trouble with Harry. What is the trouble? Find out next week, and you will never forget the look of this film with Robert Burke's just stunning colour camera work. I look forward to your company next week for The Trouble with Harry in our Alfred Hitchcock retrospective. Good night.